on the cloud.
Eventually it'll
That way
break
it goes into
down
my Zoom account.
after fire, campfire. after
Because
campfire.
it's really close to the property line. Really close. I'm talking like within an inch.
I see.
We are recording.
All right.
Okay, 6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll dispense with the pledge of allegiance unless there is some objection as to otherwise. Okay. Can I get an approval of the agenda, please?
A motion to approve the agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
There we go. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. To old business. Public Works and the facility, police facility.
Excuse me. I'm just gonna try to give you guys as much of an update since
Yeah.
the last meeting as possible. There's still a lot of stuff going on, but a lot of simultaneous things. So as it pertains to the Public Works and Police facility, I received an update from Steve Rose that the drawings and the specs are ready to go out for bidding whenever USDA says it's allowable. And on Friday, I received notification from Friday or yesterday. Wait, no, today's Monday. I received notification from Angela that the USDA is ready to review the letter of intent to meet conditions, which is kind of an overview of the entire contract that the city will enter into with USDA before it's finally approved, so that that side of the financing is ready for that part of the facility. Once and only once that is done and the USDA says we can start bidding, then we can start that side of the program, that side of the project, and Todd Hagan can start bonding for the interim financing. It's a very close timeline. I think we're still probably 2 weeks out from being able to do anything or even ask for bidding yet. It's all going to hinge on when USDA says we can.
And we have a meeting with them.
You and I have a meeting with Angela on Thursday morning at 10:30 through Zoom to go over this letter of intent to meet conditions. This is something very similar that I went through with the previous mayor for the skid steer. It's just going to be a little bit more in depth because the contract is bigger, the project is bigger, and there's more paperwork. And then the obligation of the funds, USD will start working on to make sure it's held for the city. So right now, the total project, construction contingencies, architectural fees, interim interest for the construction loan, furniture, fixtures, equipment, legal fees is like $1.9 million. 1.655 is what the loan would be from USDA, and a total applicant contribution of $279,000. That 279 is basically all the architectural fees that you guys already know is like 169. Then any other interim interest that we would pay on the construction loan while it's being built. Any of the legal fees we may have in order to bond. And then we have a list of furniture, fixtures, and equipment of about $31,000. What I can tell the city is that in the process of doing the listing of the FF&E, some of the equipment that was originally discussed to put into the building financing, the lift, the wash bay, and there's one other thing and I'm forgetting it. Sorry, don't have it in front of me. The city is going to go through the same process it did with a community facilities grant loan combination and apply for funding that way. for those three items because they're gonna total somewhere over $50,000. And that really kind of pushed some of our dollars for the entire project a lot higher than what our cash balances and our funding and bonding would allow us to. So that'll happen simultaneously while projects are being worked on. They're building the building. I'll ask for questions. I may be able to answer them. It just depends on what they are, you guys.
Can we get a list of what those fixtures, furniture, all that stuff, is that
Yep,
already available for us, or?
yep. If I don't have it with me here in the documents we're going through. I can send it out to you guys. It, in a nutshell, it's things like
Chairs, lights.
Drawers,
Chairs,
toilet,
appli-
fixtures like that?
appliances, yep, furniture, desks. Yeah,
Pool tables.
Yeah.
yeah, things, pool table, cute, Nick.
Well, That's what we want to make sure isn't on there.
Yeah, things like that. Window treatments.
And that 31,000 is gonna come out of, both budgets? Or is that out of the general fund to pay for it, or?
The 31,000 for the FF&E,
Mhm.
a lot of that is coming out of that 279,000 I talked to you about.
Okay, and then that 279,000, that's on top of what we bonded, or we're trying to bond for the city?
Yes. It's
Mhm.
because we can only bond for that 1.6,
Mhm.
so that, I'm gonna round it to 280, Jason,
Okay,
is what the city will be paying for.
and, as of right now, do we have any, plans in motion to come up with that 280,000?
So we've already been spending architectural fees split 60-30.
Mhm.
The 30%, well, I shouldn't say that. I gotta think about this. Hold on a second. I want to make sure I'm saying this right because I don't have it all in front of me. The largest portion of the city's funding is coming out of the general fund. The other section is going to come out of the utility. So as it sits right now, the way I've been breaking down most of the architectural fees, 60% of it is coming out of the general fund split between the street budget and the police budget. And the other portion of it is coming out of water and sewer, split evenly.
Okay,
Pretty sure I'm saying it right.
and then you said the architectural fees were the 169,000?
That encompasses architectural, engineering, civil, but yeah, that was part of the original, the 169 was part of the original contract that the city signed when Steve presented it to the city back in the summer of 20,
Okay,
I want to say.
I don't suppose you happen to have the rough number of what we already spent?
Of that 169.
Correct.
I do not for this project. I do in my head for the liquor store, but I don't.
Okay.
No.
Just trying to figure out how much we have left.
Oh, to spend?
Correct.
If you would give me the leniency to have a note, I could report that at the council meeting on the 10th,
Yeah, that's
because
perfect.
we'll have more WITSEF invoices by then.
Okay.
Let me just make a note.
Yeah, we'll see where
I just want to make
we're
sure.
at so far.
Right, I
Sure.
just want to make sure that departments are well above their cushion, or
Yep, I
not gonna
understand.
deplete everything.
Yeah, I can, absolutely. I've been kind of putting it in an expense code where I know exactly where it is because it's not something we've been budgeting for. So
Mhm.
it stands out like a sore thumb, even on like an income statement. Right, Shonda? Yep.
Yeah, because hers are popping on
right. But yeah, I can give you like a summary, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Less surprises, the better.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, this has not been easy to balance both the funding side, and there's 4 of them, and then the bidding side of both of these projects. It's a lot of paperwork to keep track of.
Mhm.
I literally had both projects in one folder up until a week ago, and I can't anymore. I'm almost need to get a second project folder for both projects because it's so much paperwork for me to keep track of right now.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea to split them.
Yeah, I did split them, but I'm bursting right now. Any other questions?
No? Just wish it would
Hurry up.
hurry up.
You know, the good thing, I mean, I know, the good news is we've gotten to this part where USDA is ready to do the intent to meet op conditions, because in Angela's mind, they're ready to keep moving. You know that this is how much we need, and they've earmarked it, if you will, but they have their steps to go through before they can fully endorse the project and say, yes, you will have this money. So,
It's understandable.
yeah.
Don't want one technicality to shut down the whole project.
You know, that's,
Mike, Jace, you guys got anything?
yeah,
Nothing.
Yeah.
Continue to building.
I know something else that went in that FF&E, the data lines. All the internet data lines got bid for that.
Oh, nice.
It was not included in the original, that's not included in the electrical portion of the plan, so I had to have Paul Bunyan Telephone come in and bid for that.
Okay.
So I've got that too, that's included in there as well.
That makes sense.
Mhm. Those are just a couple examples.
Mhm. Saying you don't want a truly wireless building?
Well, I think internet kind of stops down that line at BICAP anyway, so that whole road down there,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know how far in it's gonna go. Cooperative development will have to send the gig lines up further.
Mhm. How do you even think of that? Does that push their deadline back?
Cooperative development or our deadlines?
Cooperative development to get these guys phone lines and internet lines?
No, because my end from the engineer that works down there is they're not even done here in Blackduck anyway.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
there's
they-
still a lot of people not hooked up.
They just trenched mine last
Mhm.
summer.
Although they have the infrastructure here, there's a lot of people in the area that have not gotten their service to their building or their home. They were very, I guess, slowed down in a few projects due in part to COVID, where they set aside some of their really large infrastructure growth projects to help people last year get their lines so that kids could have distance learning and people could work from home. So everybody's kind of behind if you think of it just in that nutshell.
Mhm.
That it for Public Works?
I got no more questions for him or Christina.
Liquor store.
Switch styles here. Piles. Okay, so the first thing I just want to remind everybody is that the public hearing on the 26th at 6 o'clock. We're going to have 2 meetings that night. Obviously, one is to canvass the elections. That'll be after. The first one is to call the public hearing for the public to voice their concerns about doing the tax abatement bonding for the financing for the liquor store. Once the board hears the public's comments that evening, you will also have a short presentation. Todd from Ellers will be on the call. And then the board will have the entertain to approve the resolution to bond. That will be the yes at that point that we can go ahead and get the money and Todd can start publicly bidding for that dollar amount that we need for the liquor store. That's on the 26th. As it pertains to what we're doing with the bidding and the plans, the pre-construction meeting with Kraus Anderson is going to be held somewhere that week of the 26th. We don't have a final timing yet. And once all the documents are in order, the city will then sign the agreement with Kraus Anderson and then provide the notice to proceed and have a have the pre-construction meeting. So I'm waiting to get one more piece of paperwork from Steve on that notice to proceed. We're trying to time it all at the same time. I just don't have that date yet from him because he's talking to Kraus Anderson. On the financial side, regardless of the meeting of the 26th, I have another meeting with Todd from Ellers and Standard & Poor's. The city gets a bond rating every few years, and Standard & Poor's hasn't officially rated the city in about 4 years. So I have 2 meetings set up with Standard & Poor's and Todd that week to review the city's financing, go over the last 4 financial audits with them. And I have about 4 pages of Q&A I have to go through with them. This is pretty standard. Todd says it's typically done every few years anyway. We just haven't done it. So it's nothing to be of any alarm for the city.
No, our last rating was
A+.
A+.
Yep.
And we were not too worried.
Yep, they just want to be able to ask questions like, you know, what has the city been doing? And it's not just, and it has really nothing just pertaining to the liquor store at all. It's the city as a whole, and they're rating predominantly the general fund. So they'll ask a series of questions. They'll look at our financial audit, like I just stated, and then they'll come to a conclusion what our rating is. What that'll do, and I think Todd has told you guys this in the past, is that just helps the bonding process to get a better rate when the bonds are sold.
When is that, Christina?
I have one meeting on the 26th, next Monday morning at 10, unless I can push it to this Friday because I have a conflict already. And then I have a second meeting on the 29th. At noon on Thursday the 29th. So one of them is only with part of Eller's team and that team that works with S&P, and then the one on Thursdays with Standard & Poor's completely. And Todd will be with that, with me to assist.
Okay.
I don't have a whole lot about the Kraus Anderson at this point. I just can tell you that, you know.
We don't know when we're gonna get to start.
Yes, yep. It's just your time. The timelines on the funding and starting are so dang close. We just need every I to be dotted on the other side to know that we can. So I haven't felt this much stress since we did the PFA and the small cities financing for the road construction back in 2016. That was tight too. You guys have any questions? I can try to answer.
No, not this time. I mean, we're all in limbo.
I know, and I apologize. I wish I could tell you guys more, but you know, I know like even Shonda's like, you know, kind of timelines so that you can keep the business running, and when is that going to happen, and everything it's tight.
But Kraus isn't gonna have a problem with us remaining open.
You've talked to Tom, right? He's worked pretty well with many programs.
Yeah, lots of other businesses,
Yeah, they
you know,
just
the
did
grocery
a
store, they did in,
grocery store in Baudette. They
Yeah.
remained open the whole time, right?
Right. I mean, there's going to be some, realistically, we're not gonna be able to serve food for a while, at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
some
mean,
things will be shut down.
realistically, we can't have them trying to construct and us trying to cook
Yeah,
hamburgers.
and they know that.
I mean, it's, yeah,
From the
that
Department of
that
Health
part
standard.
is, yeah.
They're pretty good at making fake walls, because, they have a contract through, Sanford Hospital, and they put up partitions, and it's pretty nice. So we might be able to get away with certain things, but I don't know about the grill.
yeah. Okay, I was just wondering.
Cool.
Anything else, guys?
Not unless you guys have them for me. Just try to keep you updated as best as I can.
Mike, I know you've got something to say about this hot water.
I do, actually. I don't have anything concrete, however, I'm going to recommend that it be moved outside of town.
Okay.
Out to the boat landing. There is an area, it would be the northern portion of the boat landing. If you've been out there, go out and go across the little bridge into the northern tar portion that butts up to our campground. We do have water over there and we do have power over there. So they could trench that over there, and then you would have your hot water wash where I think it needs to be, by the lake. Instead of in town and clogging up our
Park.
information center, city
Did you
park.
send that picture to Bruce?
No, I haven't.
Can I?
I'm going to. Yeah, you can show these guys.
Only complication I would have, would be for, oh wow, that's what it looks like.
No, that's something I found that North Dakota just did.
That's one from, I would assume.
wow.
Fish and game from, that's basically DNR.
Yeah, I
in
would
North
assume
Dakota are
that one
putting
is
these in.
probably by Devil's Lake. would be my guess.
Yeah, the only thing I would see would be an issue would be, like you said, it's gonna be trenched, so there'd be absolutely no water contamination to the lake. I mean, guess it doesn't really make a difference, it's, lake water is gonna get washed away anyways.
What do you mean contamination?
Well, actually, I guess it probably doesn't even make sense then, because, we're just gonna use the hot water to rinse off the boats.
Right, that's all they're using it
Yeah,
for.
so it doesn't matter if the lake water goes back into the lake.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
There's
the
some
water
people now
that
that
they
have
would be-
hoses on their boats right now and they rinse them off when they pull them out.
The water they'd be taking from us isn't lake water. It's out of the well.
Okay, and that was gonna be my other question. Okay.
It'd be out of the well, and then it would only be operable the times a year that the park is operable.
Okay.
Which really, our park is generally open for fishing opener, so it's open the times of the year that guys are fishing out there, generally speaking.
Late October.
Mhm.
Is there any way when we do that system where we don't have to winterize it, or it'll be like,
Well, here's the kicker on that too. We do it out there, it's not our baby.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Because the DNR owns both parking lots.
nice?
We'll get them, they can tap into our stuff, and we can probably get, I mean, they'll have to pay us for the electricity and the water, but other than that, it's not our deal.
I like that option.
Mhm.
So the community still benefits from it
Mhm.
without having the extra hassle and headache.
Like they own the light that's out there by the land.
That's where it
By the
belongs.
dock too, so they pay the electricity
where
on
it
there,
should
they
go.
just tap into the.
Yeah, because, you know, they want you to have your boat cleaned and
Mhm.
cleaned off before you leave the landing, not,
10 miles.
not a mile away.
Yeah.
So at this point, if you guys are okay with it, I would say that that can be taken off of any further agendas. And just kind of as I go along with what I find out from them, I'll give you guys a heads up of what's happening, just so you're aware.
Sound good?
I don't have a
Sounds good to
problem.
me.
And let Bruce work with, like Dave Schatzko instead.
Yep.
Yep.
They can figure it out.
Yep.
Let us know what you need.
Local sales tax.
I have no updates at this time, Max. That'll
Okay.
be easy to just check box. Sorry.
My favorite recently. Our demolition loan. It's that extra iron in the fire.
You gotta be getting close to that deadline.
So, do you want to talk about it? You want to give your board your recap? You want to give my, should I give the
You Go
recap?
right ahead, because
Okay. So we met with Ryan from Deed. The good news is that we have some time to continue on our quest to gain the acquisition of 32 Main without any penalties to the city.
The property title.
Correct.
there's considerable amount owed against the property. There's 2 liens, federal and state.
There's actually 3. There's 2 state and the federal.
And this wasn't disclosed at the time?
There was no title search done.
When,
Go ahead.
when Dan and Perry did the handshake and
Mhm. Here's
here's
my
my
car.
car, here's your property, no.
No one did a title search. So Chicago Title, that's working on behalf of the Development Corps, did a title search and found the 3 liens. So theoretically, there's no way Dan could have ever had possession of that property.
So it goes back to the original.
So it goes back to the original. So right now, the Development Corps has to work to gain access from Perry for 32 Main. It was suggested at the last Development Corps meeting that the attorney for the Development Corps, as they're drafting a letter to the state also, and the feds for IRS, I guess I should say, strongly urge, regardless of just asking to have it lifted, that the lien be moved off of that parcel because it is not worth anything close to what is owed. Because when a tax lien is put on someone, it's put on everything they own, regardless of its value. And to also note in the letter that the state of the building itself is cause that is, if once 40 and 48 come down, 32 would come down too.
And then the other thing to consider that when you're talking with the IRS is that right now, these guys are busy. So I don't know how fast they're gonna be to react to get
Right.
a little chunk of property in Blackduck, Minnesota.
So did Dean say, or so did Deed say how long our extension could be?
We didn't even ask for an extension.
You just said it's not an issue.
We wanted to know if there was hiccups in acquisitions, because even Gail Leverson said these types of projects don't go off exactly the way the project was applied for. You always have problems. You always find more things, even in the demolition timeframe, as to how that works. The feedback that I received from Ryan from Deed is that it's their understanding that that can happen. So my biggest stress to them was I didn't want this pot of money being thought of that it needs to get returned to someone else or another city to apply for if this timeline on acquisition for 32 Main gets dragged too long. His comment back to us is obviously we want to see you guys use the money and move forward with it. So he was going to get back to us on an exact timeline that they would want to see
Yeah,
some
and they-
movement on the project.
Okay.
but they didn't seem real worried. I mean, they've had other projects that have wrapped around and come into a whole nother year.
Right.
Right, and I guess our original contract that we had is null and void because it's not on the second owner, it's on the previous owner, so that's
That's-
not a problem.
Yeah.
So the commission's still talking about purchasing that property,
Mm-hmm.
so they're just trying to find out if they're gonna have to pay the liens or not?
There's no way they'll pay the liens on it. They're gonna ask for them to be forgiven
And if they're not,
or removed from that
removed.
parcel. They'd never forgive them,
right,
they're gonna ask for it to be removed from that property
And put on.
and put on something else he owns because the
Okay.
value of that building
Okay,
is so low.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Good. So. Interesting.
It's still a go. It's just,
Not right now.
Right, but now we might have to do another contract with the original and say, oh, hey, I want this dollar amount instead of what you're offering the other guy.
Well, let's just assume, for sake of argument, that Dan was Perry, and we were gonna pay Perry 7,000 less all of, or the BDC was gonna pay them that amount less all the title search and closing costs and filing with the county and everything. He wouldn't have anything anyway, because all the liens have gotta be paid first.
Right,
Hence the reason why nothing's been filed.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, and it's substantial. It's like 50, 70.
One is
Excellent.
53 and the other two are fairly small, plus the county property taxes that are due. So it's just shy of $60,000. And those 3 parcels alone don't total that much.
No,
So
And what we have is, they're condemnable.
yeah,
they're condemnable.
And that's all there is to it. So that's in our favor
Right.
when it comes to,
yeah, that definitely falls on the hardship.
The representative from Deed that we spoke to, gave an example to us from another city. I don't remember if it was Medina or, does that sound right? Where the city went through a process
Yeah.
for a grant loan project with this program to remove a really old silo, grain bin,
granary.
granary in town, because it had mice and all kinds of bad old stuff in there. And they took it down and they're still waiting to flip the property.
Hmm.
And that was 4 years ago?
4 years.
4 years ago. So they totally understand going into it that everything is a risk and you don't know what you're gonna come into. So I guess my summary on all that is, I don't want the board to lose hope that the project's not gonna go. It's just not going to be a really fast project until we get this other portion done.
Yeah, once you got clean title, we're done. We're
Then we can,
tear, knock them down.
then we can really move forward.
And I did ask that but it is a loan grant. So I mean, and it is contingent, correct, upon there being an occupant in that, on those spaces, or,
Not if you use the Wadena example, that you have something built. It's gonna become a loan in 2 years after it's done to the city,
right, we have 2 years.
right? You have 2 years to flip it without that loan hitting the city.
After the demolition.
Yes, Jason. That encourages the city to find a developer. So regardless of how long it takes the buildings to come down until you get to green space, once that's all done, then you have 2 years from that date,
Mhm.
whatever that might be, to get it off the city's ownership and into someone else's hands. Can't imagine what it costs to take a green bin down,
I was thinking,
Them cranes
it's probably
are-
something about the size of a co-op,
you know,
the elevator or something.
them cranes are expensive.
bunch of tannerite or something like that, I don't know, and then remove it from the site. So that's all that's where that program is at. Project program.
And the commission's lawyer said this is a pretty common issue about moving the lien.
The development course.
Yeah, the development court.
We did not speak, the development court didn't speak, didn't have their attorney present. Their treasurer has had the conversations with their attorney, BDC's treasurer spoke to the BDC's attorney. And one of the other BDC members said that he's seen this been requested in the past. And it makes sense for the IRS to request that be moved off the property.
provided its value, and in this case, it's serious structural issues being attached to the other two that the city planned to take down.
Mhm.
You know, if the IRS knowingly understood that the city planned on taking down two other buildings that it was structurally attached to, they may find it more of a reason to remove the tax liens off that particular property.
Okay.
Because you're not gonna get anything out of it.
Right.
Nothing is easy.
Well, that's a headache.
Nothing is easy.
No.
Just think what it's gonna look like when it's all done. Just gotta keep positive. I wanna stay positive.
As long as there's gonna be a big
I
hole there,
know.
how about a city pool?
I don't know. Oh, man.
Maybe a small city pool, maybe a wading pool pond.
I mean, I did tell the development court since the time the story broke in the newspaper,
Both of us are like, no.
City pool.
there has been, people interested in, what's gonna go there. And the owner of Found North Goods actually spoke with a couple that had interest in purchasing it. When I reached out to them, haven't heard back, so.
All 3 lots.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
it'll be,
So there's been no discussion on that part, Jason, but the fact that somebody actually said, I'd be interested and
Right.
referred them to me, that's a positive thing.
Right.
Considering I haven't gone yet, right?
Right, because let's face it, no one knows anything's gonna happen until something actually happens, right? Doesn't matter how much paperwork we have to go through to
as
get
long
these
as those
buildings
3
done.
buildings are standing there, nobody's gonna wanna do anything
Anything.
with it.
Yep, as soon as a wall gets knocked down, everybody's gonna be like, whoa, what's going on?
So how heavy of a windstorm do we have to have before that building comes down?
I'll tell you, I've been in those buildings twice, I'm not going in a third time. I don't wanna find out. I would imagine at some point, we may have to rope off some back area as a city just to
Ugh.
keep people safe.
I mean, there's gotta be a clause that we can use that it's gotta come down.
I
Well,
would've thought so,
condemnation
too.
has come to mind, and I've talked to the city's city attorney about that, but that's a long process too, so.
Yeah, so kind of.
Yeah, no, I just figured if it being a public safety hazard, like if, like you said, if a portion of a wall falls down, I mean, it's gotta be an issue where we can take the rest of it down,
Mhm.
be justified.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Okay.
And then before we get a bunch of critters moving in.
Exactly.
Yep.
Nick, anything from Kitchi?
No, the next meeting's not until the 20th of May, I guess.
Okay,
Oh, you didn't have an April meeting? Oh.
man.
Okay,
That was my mistake.
that's okay.
when's the next local library board meeting?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look on my,
Okay,
I did have somebody ask me when we were gonna buy Freeman's building. I don't know how that ended up getting that far.
small town.
Uh-huh.
Probably
So
ready
the
for
city
the-
doesn't even have this money yet. Kichigami hasn't even agreed to give it back. I'm like, I can't tell you. That's just a concept and an idea, so.
American Rescue Plan Act.
Oh, are we done there already?
Mhm.
I don't have a whole lot for you guys since we met last. I included a Department of Treasury policy, but they don't even have anything really updated on here yet. And this was just posted as of the 15th of this month. And the pre-award requirements, we already comply with, so there's really nothing I can do. It's all that Treasury advisement that they state will come soon, has not come soon.
Still,
Right, I'm gonna reach out to, Ron Ishins though, from the city of Bemidji, because he worked diligently with their city manager when Bemidji received their CARES funding, And they did some very creative spending last year. And I'm hoping that I can maybe gain some insight and into some innovative ways our city can utilize the money when and if it does come. But I have no updates on that at this point, unless you guys have seen something other than myself. The legislature has been very slow
They've
this month.
only got a month left.
About this project, they've been slow.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I mean,
good,
the state-
good thing the feds gave us a long due date, so, you know, that gives us some time.
Okay, anybody got any new business?
I do.
Okay,
Sewer cleaning and televising. Lynn Eaton from Widseth is requesting that we televise roughly, Christina, was it 10,000, 11,000 feet?
It was a lot.
Something like that, of our clay tile that we have in town as part of that PER project that we have long been doing. Maybe the footage was less and the price was 10,000. That might have been what it was.
You
I
know
don't have it
what?
in front of me, I
Yeah,
apologize.
the per foot,
But it's something
price.
that we need to discuss because the price is roughly around 10 grand for that. And then also I got a price, this is through Vite, for cleaning sewer main because we have to do that every so many years. We have to actually physically touch the sewer mains for insurance purposes. Doing that is roughly the same price as the Camry, and I think it was within $1,000 or $2,000. The problem here is we don't have the budget that a lot of other places have. So we need to either come up with the money to do the Camry, or we need to say that we're going to pause on it and it's going to hold up this PER project.
Remind me what the PER stands for again?
PER.
Yeah, I know,
I don't remember exactly.
I know what it is,
The
I just can't
acronym
remember.
is for, but essentially it's
it's a public facility.
doing everything in our town that needs to be done. You know, it's shooting for the moon and hoping we make it
It's
halfway
like a
there.
capital improvement plan.
That's what I was,
That
that's what I-
globally
that's-
okay.
encompasses every piece of infrastructure underground.
I
And
wish we could cancel that.
Hmm?
Said I wish we could cancel that.
that might be the reason it was canceled a while ago that you guys heard, but boy, I don't know what held up the city when it started last time, you know, I mean, even Kirk couldn't even recall back that
Mhm.
far. Maybe it was this, I don't
We
know.
voted on that, what, 2 years ago?
Yep,
I want
and
to say it was like
It
right
was
after
right-
I started or
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
before.
honestly,
It's-
it was almost right before COVID hit, Jason. Yeah, it was close. It
I
was
think
like in the
yeah.
winter.
I think it was well before COVID.
Yeah.
Lynn just didn't really get started until
Right.
they were finally allowed to start working. So there was a pause on that timeline. I personally am in favor of the cleaning, the televising.
That's where I stand with this, is that if we have to pick one of the two, we need to pick the cleaning. I mean, that's just where it's at.
It's one of those maintenance things that should happen much like us flushing our hydrants. It's just, that doesn't cost us money, except for manpower. And if Mike can come up with a plan that rotates, kind of like what you're doing to the irrigators, that can rotate a quadrant of the city every year or two.
That's what I've discussed with Vite, is being on roughly a 3 or a 4 year plan.
So it doesn't
keep
look
the
like
cost
such an
low.
enormous cost to the budgets. Because to me, that's operating and maintenance, which is what your annual budget is for anyway.
that's, yeah, all preventative.
It's
stuff,
all preventative.
And it should,
It's just unfortunately this year, all of my budgets got tightened up a lot, and it's just where we sit right now.
Yeah. And we're using a lot of those budgets for this building project too.
So we need to weigh the importance of each of those.
Oh, and this is going on, this will be my second full summer here. So I've only got so much time to get moving on this before I can't.
When was the last time they were done, Mike?
I'd have to pull records and see exactly when they were done properly last.
I can tell you from my own memory that Bob had sections of Summit done back in, well, it was before the Summit and Main project, so it probably been about 15. He did, and I'm, this is my memory, so please don't be shocked if it's not the truth. But I know that, for example, the clinic had sewer backup on First Street the year before I started in like 2012, and then again in 14 or 15, and that was due in part to some of the boulevard trees growing into the tile in First Street that's connected to Summit. So I know that Vite came in and did some then. I know that Vite came in and looked at, did cammering and cleaning on 4th Street Northeast, and that's how we found the 4th Street Northeast sewer line had failed, and we fixed that. Other than those two incidences, I don't know when or what else had been done in town, unless it was an isolated issue
I think
that Klug had brought it to the city.
we got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say, this is well before my time.
They both need to be done
Yeah,
sooner than later.
That's the thing, I mean, they do, but
I guess
when it comes down to having to pick one,
yeah,
the
Pick the
cleaning.
cleaning.
the cleaning is important.
Well, the cleaning's gonna.
Well, I could
throw
loosen
off-
up more stuff if there's broken pipes and stuff too. couldn't it?
You run into that being a possibility.
It really just depends.
If it's broke, it's already
Yeah, it's
broke.
already-
Yeah,
You know, if they happen to run through a sidewall or something and get stuck, well, then we know for sure it was broke,
it was
and
broke.
now we have to fix it probably,
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, having Summit and Main redone, you know, that all that clay tile is now gone. And that was some of the oldest infrastructure in the city.
So we have a relatively large amount of clay tile in town still. You guys know how the weather's been lately with the rain. My pumps in my main pump station have over doubled in runtime. What that tells me, and I'll tell you, is that we have a ton of sewer that isn't necessarily completely failing, but is being inundated with groundwater.
I agree.
Because it's porous.
The cracks are
Yeah.
opening up, joints, everything. So I know that we have a lot that needs to be worked on, and that's part of this PER project, is learning all that.
Right.
So at some time, we're gonna have to get that stuff cameraed and find out what's going on and where. But in the immediate time being, the cleaning needs to be the real go after.
Did Lynn actually say we have to do this in order to complete the PER, or this is a checkbox he needs to know if it's been done, and if so, how much?
No, they need to see it.
They truly need
They
it?
need to see the sewer to decide if we can possibly do cured in place pipe. What that is we don't have to rip up the street. If it's nice enough, if the joints aren't cracked and sagged, you can run expandable pipe essentially in through it via pressure,
Mhm.
push it in, air it up, and it goes out, and there's a certain amount of dry time, and you've got new pipe in there. that went
Really?
Inside of your clay tile.
I've seen videos on that. That stuff's pretty slick.
It's amazing
Wow.
when you don't have to rip up streets,
Wow.
you know, not that we have any streets that
Don't
to
need
be
ripping up.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. So with this being said, where's our time frame looking for the rest of our CIP on the road maintenance and the tile replacement?
that stuff's been out the window for months, Jason.
I know.
We've got no money to do anything
I know.
with that. I mean, as long as we're on the subject, you guys have, I would assume, all driven by Oscar in the last month or so and seen the cones that I've had on the road out there.
Mhm.
Those are out there because that road is garbage.
Mhm.
It's been garbage since it was put in my understanding. It was put in very thin.
That wasn't even supposed to be a travel
Right.
road.
And
It
now-
was just a dead end to get to the transfer.
And now
to the lift station.
Yep, and now you've got how many apartment buildings, townhomes? I've seen the semi for the Dollar General come around that way.
Yep.
The delivery trucks for Restaurant 71. The garbage truck is horrible on our roads.
Oh, we know.
The worst by far.
Mhm.
They're cranking right there. It's really a nightmare spot, and it was the garbage truck, and it got tore out when it got kind of warm there, but there was still frost. There's not much I can do about something like that. That's why luckily we're in the small enough town that I could cone it and just wait for the frost to be out. And I tell you what, I'm gonna go over there, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pound it back down the best I can, and that's it. Because the entire road is so alligator that I can't even patch over there.
Waste the money to put patch.
We patched one last summer on the northern end of Oscar there. And in fact, I just went by it today and my patch is all over the place. I know. Because it's just the sub base and everything is just not there over there. And unfortunately, almost every one of our roads is in that same situation right now.
I know.
And there's the kicker with needing the PER done,
I know.
you know, because that encompassed all that as well.
So we're gonna need like a, you want just a go ahead?
Not necessarily a go ahead, it's just something that I want you guys to be aware of. And, you know, I'll try to get some more information from Lynn and find out, like, can you possibly move forward without this?
Mhm.
Or is it an absolute must have? And I'll have that for you, by the council meeting so that we can possibly make a decision if we have to.
Can you also have a secondary backup of having a full quote or contract with Vite as to how much it costs so that they have Vite put together a proposal of how much it's gonna cost?
I have that.
Okay.
And
Oh, I
I'll-
thought it was just an email.
Well, I mean, it's a quote from them. It's in email form, but it's a quote from the guy running their Vite's process.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just numbers tossed out. I mean, this is what it's gonna cost you.
Okay.
Okay,
It's just something I wanted everyone to be aware of that we needed to talk about.
how about that little sinkhole behind the pond?
In the parking lot.
Is that what them cones are for?
Yeah, we had a delivery truck back in and go completely down to the axle on one side.
Oh my God.
One side went down to the axle and the other side was up in the air.
And that's where the expansion's going?
No.
Yes and no. The building won't be there, but it will, however, still be a paved area.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's gonna have to get dug out. I gave the pictures that Mike took of the problem to Kurt Meyer because the borings for the expansion
I was gonna ask.
did not take place there. The
Okay.
borings were for the foundation for the building itself.
Okay.
But like Mike just said, that's where the delivery trucks will pull in and pull out. So it will encompass that area. So I sent the pictures to Steven. Steven included Kurt Meyer because Kurt knows the civil portion of it. And basically Kurt said, you're gonna have to dig it out and replace with 18 inches of
Well,
gravel.
We're gonna
I
need
can't remember my
We're gonna
email,
have
and
to
then some
put
material. It's gonna
material
need
in
some
it and then
material.
gravel.
Thank
I
God.
gotta think we're gonna have to go twice as deep as 18 inches.
Yeah.
I don't think that's deep enough.
Thank God the bid came lower than we expected. We knew something was gonna happen.
That's what I said at Steve, to Steven too. I'm like, well, there's a change order.
Yeah, well, having our guys do it, now we're looking at the cost of gravel,
Manpower and
basically.
gravel,
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's substantially lower than.
true.
Right.
True.
And the bids from Kraus Anderson did not include this type of a change order or an
Sure.
issue. It was, having a sub come in and do the cement and do the bituminous. So this is something that will have to be done prior to that portion of the project getting done. But apparently there's been a frost boil there for years and it's just really finally took its toll.
Wow.
But-
That's what I was told, is that there's been a boil in that area forever.
Yeah.
And this year I think it was
Good
the
enough, finally.
culmination.
I
This
have
year
one
with
at
all
the end
the
of my
rain.
road and I think people drive on it all the time
Rain,
because you
quick
just
thaw.
don't notice how bad it gets until it goes.
Rain, quick thaw,
Yep,
frost still being under there,
Right.
deep down, because the trucks do back in there with all that weight. And then just obviously have been there for years, apparently.
Yep.
Not being addressed
How long are we gonna be blocking it off?
till it dries up.
Mhm.
July.
Right.
At this point, yep.
It can stop snowing anytime.
Well, the thing is, I mean, with where we're sitting at with it, and the project going on down there, I don't know. We're gonna really play it by ear down there as to, okay, when it dries, what do we do?
Mhm.
Do we just throw a little gravel in it and call it good?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I sit on it until we actually fully dig it out.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh, I
You
got
know what I mean? There's really, I'm not gonna half-ass fix it
Mhm.
to dig that back out and then fix it again in 4 months when we have to dig down, so.
Right.
Most likely, I'm just gonna let it dry, throw some gravel in it, smooth it out. They can use it until we dig it all out.
How's Croswell holding up this year?
Great.
Never happened.
See, there's always a positive, you guys,
No, that ditching, I think that ditching that we did
was what it needed.
is really what it
Amen.
needed.
Do you have any idea when we're gonna start opening up the restrooms?
When the temperatures quit getting so low, honestly,
That's
when it
what I
got
keep
real
saying.
warm there for a bit,
Mhm.
I was really considering it and I almost pulled the trigger on it. And I'm really glad I did,
Mhm.
because what was it the other night? 20 something?
Yeah.
And we all voted to turn the heat off in those things
Mhm.
this last year and shut them down, so that's where we're sitting.
All right.
Once it'll really stay nice, yeah, don't worry, my
Once-
wife yelled at me, they were in town and they weren't open, so I already got yelled at for
Oh, I'm getting it almost daily lately.
I can believe it.
Just because the snow is gone does
No.
not mean it's not cold and does not mean the frost isn't
You didn't
gone.
have snow at your house this morning?
I did, but
Yeah.
it's gone. It's gone.
Every time I hear we should be doing something because it's warm,
Mm-hmm.
it snows.
Yeah, that's about it too.
Yep.
I got another question. Christina, do you know when we're gonna have the garage sales? I was told to ask today.
The
citywide,
chamber picked May 15th.
May 15th.
I did make a chamber event for it on their chamber's Facebook page. I don't know why not everybody can see it,
It's all over, it's been all over.
but I made an
Facebook.
update last Thursday or Friday because a couple of people that live outside of town asked if they could use the Wayside Rest.
Yeah.
So I spoke with a couple of chamber members, I talked with a couple other city people, and they were all like, yeah, if somebody doesn't have a garage and they want to bring it to town. So on behalf of the chamber, the Wayside Rest will be there for a limited number of people to have their sale underneath the gazebo at no cost.
Okay,
The chamber's gonna fit the bill for it.
so they're not opening up the grass,
That is correct,
just.
Just the gazebo.
Gazebo, okay.
correct.
Because I've had a few people, well, Anderson's
I
is talking about.
Don't want it to turn into a flea market.
Right, because that's kind of what Anderson's is trying to do. They're trying to open up stalls to sell or rent.
Oh,
To help their bingo or charity or whatever
Okay.
they're doing it for.
gotcha.
Seeing everybody's, this missing out on the Sanford Center and the Beltrami Electric garage sales. And that's what,
Right,
that's
right.
what they want. And they want, I mean,
This way more people can come to town, and if they need electricity, they have it. I mean, the picnic tables are already down there, so if they have tables, they can use them. But what I posted on that event Facebook was that it was an update, and if somebody needed or wanted a section in town, that they needed to get a hold of me and reserve a quadrant of the gazebo. So everybody knew they had a fair share. I mean, what the secretary of the chamber and I were speaking, and we're like, do we need to like partition it off? And I'm like,
Kind of where
I'm like, we might like put some tape on the floor so everybody knows you quadrant you had, or we'll just move the picnic table so everybody has a quarter of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say 4 people, maybe 5 people. tops.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on how big your sale is and
Yeah.
how much you want to lug to town.
Yeah.
will explode.
Well,
It'll just explode. We'll have huge sales.
That's why I was
It's
trying to
gonna
think if we
bring
can
everybody
do the
into town.
grass.
no, I was trying to be as clear as possible in that Facebook post, so I really hope it doesn't get misconstrued.
I'm
But,
seeing this as a moneymaker.
well, I'm trying to control the amount of people in one area too, because there's that.
Blackduck
Whoops.
grass yard sale.
Super-
Flea market.
Super spreader. You know, there's that too.
Okay, so.
So yes,
I think
it's
a
May
good idea.
15th.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Who does the city use for insurance?
The League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust,
Mhm. And we've used them for how long?
as long as I've been here. 8 years plus 10 years,
Good
most
enough.
likely. Yeah.
Do you think we can find someone cheaper? I don't think we could.
Good luck with that one, you
Yeah.
guys.
I don't think we could.
I don't think you're gonna, I'm just tossing out ideas.
Okay.
For the golf course,
Oh, I got you.
I've had numerous emails, phone calls as to why aren't we open?
Yeah, but Midgie's open.
Giants Ridge isn't.
Really?
I don't think Castles is either.
Castle's opened on Friday
Yeah,
afternoon,
just
and they were open Saturday. That's the first time their pins were in.
Members would like us to put up a pay box since we can't get anybody to work out there.
We don't typically open before May 1st, but
Pay box, what? Pay as you go?
Yep, you could pay, you just dump your money in, take off on the course.
We might as well set up an e-commerce website then if we're gonna go that route. Print out a ticket.
I suggested if the course is ready to open, maybe this weekend, that if people wanted to pay ahead of time, Paige and I could take tea times and payments over the phone here at City Hall until we have people that we can actually staff out there on the days that we open.
So who's supposed to be out there when we open?
We need a clubhouse work, staff person, and they typically work when it's a normal season, max, and we open at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning for tea times and close at 10. We have somebody working like from 8 to 3, and then somebody from like 3 to 10. Sometimes that goes 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So it's usually a 7.5, 8 hour shift, 2 people in order to staff it.
Okay, but our current clubhouse manager cannot be out there.
Not currently, no, because our current clubhouse manager is a para at the school. But she will be available on weekends here shortly from my communication with her.
Weekends only until school's out?
And Mondays, yeah, the school's open.
So that's like a June kind of thing. I'm not trying to throw somebody under the bus here, but I'm trying to say, if we want them open,
Put a job out?
they've got to be there. And they're not there.
What does Jim say?
For what?
About hiring-
Opening?
Yeah.
or hiring?
Well, both.
Opening as of last Thursday, not ready yet. It's too cold. And as of hiring, Jim still even needs more staff for the course. He has 2 people. That's it.
Interesting.
Have we received any other applications?
We received one. The applicant was to interview with Jim late last week and did not show, was given another opportunity because the candidate misunderstood when he was supposed to interview with Jim and still didn't show.
Because I even mentioned it to the guidance counselor at the high school, to put it out there that any 18-year-olds looking for summer.
Mhm.
So apparently, nothing there either.
Well,
And I know the golf board meets
all right.
tomorrow, but it's not like the golf board, I mean, usually it's 4 people, me, you, and Pam and Jim. Kevin.
Learning from this thing too. But yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't know why there's no, I mean, Shonda's struggling to get staff too. Everybody is still trying to hire. Even Restaurant 71 and Timberline, everybody still needs staff. No one is applying for jobs. And quite frankly, as long as the federal government and the state continues to provide people unemployment, there's no reason for them to.
That's what I
Not
was
when you
thinking.
can go down to a bar with your unemployment and pull tabs and make enough money to live off the next week until you get your next check.
Exactly what I was thinking.
So I can't provide a service to the public without being able to staff it.
How much you gonna pay me? I'll go work at the golf course in the evening.
Overtime.
Pay me enough, I'll do it.
Shoot, you pay me enough, I'll go out there. But again, why should we have to pay higher for a business that hits that level?
Well, and that's been an argument for the last 2 weeks. Is
And that's where that's what I'm hearing, that's what I'm fighting with. If you're good with any.
Oh, God, yeah, absolutely.
Say again, Max?
That's what I'm hearing, that's what we're dealing with. But what, quite frankly, is what I'm, I've only been here a couple of years. And we keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, and it's just
Not working.
not working. So,
I mean, as Jim says, it's very popular. I mean, it pays enough to pay the employees and the operating costs, but it just never goes above that amount.
I mean, what do we gotta do?
I like what he said the other few meetings ago.
Put blinds.
Oh, that too. With the golf course?
Yeah.
Yes,
RV park?
I mean, something's gotta change.
I know. There was a restaurant or a bar, I can't remember which one it was, but it was an establishment that has a backlog and a waiting list, like all of our arms together, for a virtual golfing machine. They made enough money on there where they're buying a second machine.
Mhm.
Because you can use it year round.
Mm-hmm.
That's something they could be putting into that building down there.
Your public works building?
No,
The
no,
upstairs.
next to the pool table.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that's why we made this more open.
Yeah,
Golf machine.
yeah, we can.
But
get
the
a
windows
couple.
are tinted, so you guys don't see what I'm doing.
Yep.
Yeah, we can block it off and make this a pool hall.
Yeah,
So, I
how
mean,
much are those machines?
So when do we, as a council, we're supposed to be taking advice from a golf board, but I'm literally getting the same thing every time.
Mm-hmm.
So when do we say this is enough?
Well, Well, you already have my answer, Max. I haven't changed in 2 years.
It's not profitable, why?
I mean, at some point. I mean, if somebody makes a motion at a meeting and says, hey, I move, we close the golf course. And somebody seconds that motion,
I understand,
now you've got to vote.
I understand.
I mean, I know that the members grew up with every one of them.
Well, okay, so if I'm understanding what you're saying, Max, we're gonna have to put something on paper to say how much we're gonna owe these members for prepaying.
That could be. I mean, that, or where are we getting our people? What are we paying them? How much? How much are we gonna charge for golf to make this profitable?
I mean, we're already, what, $2-3 more than most? Or are we even more than that
We just increased our, you mean our,
for our fees?
our tea times?
Yeah, our 2 times.
We just raised it $2 for this year. And prior to that, in previous years, we were less expensive than Castle.
Okay.
But the argument back then was, we need to be a good price in order to get people to come this far.
And now all of a sudden, I would offer the argument that maybe people don't care so much about the cost
Kind of where I'm.
if they're getting a quality product.
A lot of people don't worry about the cost if they know they're getting a quality project. There's only a small percentage of people that will complain regardless. So that in itself hasn't been an issue, I think, in terms of membership or fees. I think the problem is that we have a seasonal business that does not pay a large dollar amount per hour, and we cannot attract the right staff to work 6 months out of the year. In some cases, you need to pay a seasonal person probably $15 to $16 an hour to come and to know they're gonna come back the following year. Because they'll pull unemployment the other 6. Which in addition, will get charged to the operating budget of that business. If that's gonna be their only job, it's gonna be like having a full staff of people that we pay, just like we pay Jim.
There's no way of getting around the wording, so they're not a seasonal, they're just a part-time. We don't have to pay the unemployment.
No, you know where business is seasonal, they can tell just by what the name is.
Well, that's my point. It's what can we do down there in the winter? I mean, we gotta be able to like rent out the clubhouse, have something down there where it's open in the winter and we can claim it as.
Understood, but you're not gonna fully staff everybody you already
Yeah,
hire
me
in
too.
the summertime.
Yeah, it's.
So the people will be unemployed anyway. You know, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a it's a
Ground
vicious
workers will
circle.
always-
Sorry, Nick?
The groundspeople will always.
Right.
What if, I don't know if this is legit or not, but what if we hired the golf people's ground working as public works? So we can use them in the winter.
I don't really have much need for people in the winter.
I mean, they're city employees, correct? Regardless of where they're hired?
Yeah.
So like Shonda's hurting for part-time employees, what about us throwing them over there?
Throwing who over there?
The golf members in the winter, or,
I've done that.
but that would eliminate.
You want to know the
seasonal
honest answer that
issue.
I've heard is that if they're out at the golf course, there's not a whole lot going on necessarily in the clubhouse.
Mhm.
It gets pretty slow.
Okay.
The bar, not so slow.
Right.
So I guess, Max, I'm trying to encapsulate this topic that you're bringing up so that I can actually do business in 2 minutes, but your concerns are just overall.
concerns are overall, Kevin brought it up at the last golf board meeting, that you either hire people or close it. Those were his options. That's what he told us.
Kevin is
Kevin Erpelding, he's just one of the board members.
board members at golfs?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I understand.
Owns Corner Garage,
Okay.
among
He's
other
also
things.
the one that put the retaining wall up and stuff out there. last
Okay.
year.
So, I mean, are we in this as a golf course, or are we in this as something else?
I mean, I've always thought the assumption is if it's an entity that's losing money, it's an entity that needs to be shut down. I mean, it's been losing money for, how long has it been? 7 years? 6 years now?
It's been losing money ever since the golf clubhouse was built. The actual pro shop, when the old one came down and the new one went in, that's when it started picking up debt. That was back in the late 90s.
Wow, so a decade.
Yep, and that debt sunsets in 2 years. There's about $31,000 left in that debt.
And that was the other thing we're still on the hook for, if we shut down.
Yeah, you're still gonna owe that
Mhm.
money. That's
But,
not
yeah,
going anywhere.
I know,
but-
and we're still paying it every year because the golf course is not showing a profit.
Right.
So we're still paying it.
We're still paying it.
Right now, the way the city has that debt to pay for is you're levying for part of it and the other part, you're taking money from the liquor store to pay it. So if, I guess in all summaries, if the city chose that we weren't gonna open the golf course this year because we don't have any staff, we're just gonna say, no, we're not, or we're gonna open June 1 when we know we have staff and we're only gonna be open for 3 months. Your debt's already covered, except for basic operating out there. The electricity's still on,
The cart shed.
still the debt for the cart shed that hasn't been levied or covered for, because we agreed that that was gonna be revenues. Yeah.
And your operating costs.
You know, your monthly basic just to have the building.
I mean, we're here to represent the people of Blackduck.
So, okay, but
What do we wanna do?
so if we don't open up this season, are we still paying Pam? Are we paying Pam? Yeah, she's seasonal.
She's seasonal, but we don't pay her until she actually works, because
Okay.
she's one of those employees that has a full-time job,
Okay.
but she gets her summers off.
So it's just Jim that we would pay as a seasonal unemployment?
Yes,
So if we don't open up, is he still entitled to unemployment for a whole year?
I would say absolutely,
Yeah, that's.
because we're his only employer.
So we would have to make the decision to close in it and terminate the service.
Mhm.
Which he'd still be able to draw employment for a year. anyway.
Right,
Yeah.
and then the course
But-
is just gonna go
But then,
to
yeah,
hell in a
like the
handbasket.
following, we'd be,
Right, but then, yeah, I mean, because we don't want to close all of the golf course. I mean, we want to make it profitable, but as of now, it's not because you're right, it's just all the other
We're in it.
factors.
We're in it so far.
Yeah. It could be profitable.
It could be.
Mhm.
I'm asking, what do you guys think we should be doing to make it profitable? Because I'm at a loss here.
Welcome to my club.
You know that property I was asking Mike about before we convened the
Mhm.
meeting? If we parcel some of that off and sell it and have somebody put 4 duplexes up there. Now you got property taxes and you got some money coming in, you got people living on it, and maybe that could pay off some of the debt.
Yeah, but why should it? It's still a business that's losing money.
Or we find somebody to lease,
The golf course?
Or release the course.
release the course to somebody that, or an organization that wants to run it themselves, and
You
the
said
city
your,
wipes his hand of it.
right, you said your golf course meeting is this Thursday?
It's tomorrow night.
Tomorrow, okay, this week.
It's Tuesday night.
So I would definitely entertain that idea, see what they say, and give them this year to make a profit. Otherwise, next year, I'd say we give Mike the go-ahead. I mean, that should give you plenty of time to put what you need in motion, right?
Do you do that, or do you try to find Or do you try to put it out there for the public to find somebody that is willing to lease it so that, because let's all face it, that golf course is still a huge incentive for someone to live here, whether they're a snowbird or not.
Retiree.
And I know what you're saying, Jason. I know you're gonna shake your head at me and say that a lot of people don't golf. But there's a lot of people that come up here and want to move here for the amenities that we do have. And that is one of them,
Yep.
regardless if it's owned by this entity or privately owned, it is an entity and an amenity of this area, making it a community.
And is that 10 years or 20 years or 30 years out?
It is a lot like, it's a lot like the Blackduck ambulance. Used to be owned by the city.
Hmm.
They could not make money. Now it's under the joint powers of the tri-county area and
It's got its own taxing district.
taxing, and it's completely separate. They're in the black. Not saying they don't have their troubles, but
Staffing, same problem.
I'm still stuck on that 6 figures. For the profit of 6 figures. Well, not necessarily profit, but definitely income 6 figures. I mean, the golf course, I don't think I've seen it hit higher than.
last year
90.
was about its best since
Yeah.
we've been on.
I don't think I've ever seen an income statement or even any kind of document that said anything higher than 90,000.
I strongly encourage the board to talk to the constituents. I don't think, this is just my say.
No, I totally
I
understand.
seriously think if this council is considering shutting that place down, it's not necessary unless my attorney says otherwise for it to be a public hearing, but you are gonna need to address it to the public. It's like some of those cities that have just decided to close their doors and not have a police department.
Mm.
You cannot do that without the feedback of the property taxpayers.
Exactly, 600, or we've got 825 residents now, and 30 of them golf. And you got 600 of them are paying taxes on a business that's taking money every year for it. I mean, it don't weigh up for me. I mean, and that's been my argument for 2
Yeah,
years.
and it may not weigh out for you, but you may get 20 people that are part of that group that don't golf, that would come in here and going, no, I want that golf course open. I might bring my kid there once in a while. Once in a while, doesn't matter. If they may say, no, don't close it. You just don't know.
Because here's
You just don't know.
what I'm hearing from members is we don't pay enough.
Mhm.
We don't pay enough wage-wise, or they don't pay enough to us.
T.
We don't pay enough wage-wise.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
of course, the employees.
And I've heard this before too in the last 2 weeks.
Right, so, I mean, again, that would, if we
My
pay.
thing is, my issue with it is, fine, you wanna pay them more? We have to charge more.
Way more. Because we're still gonna be losing money. I mean, yeah, you can have a fully staffed golf course, but if it's still not getting out of the red, I mean, that's where I'm lost.
I don't think your issue is a staff issue. Granted, you don't have staff right now. That is an issue. But on prior years that you've had staff and you still haven't made money, what's hiring more staff and paying more staff gonna do? Cost you more. So now you need to make up even more. And that's
Right, you're
obviously
gonna be
not
in a
happening.
vicious circle because you're gonna be the same level you are now. What we charge versus what we pay gives us the same result now. You raise one
Right.
and raise the other,
Right.
you're still in the same boat.
You're just higher up.
You're just higher up, right?
Yeah.
Your expenditures and your revenues are equal.
Mhm.
It's not gonna solve the problem.
Problem is there aren't enough people golfing. And so
Mhm. I mean, we would have to severely raise the rates higher to the point where we would come out of debt and make a profit this year, but nobody would golf it.
It's not gonna happen this year.
Is it
What?
that you don't open?
We don't get the staff.
Not till June 1.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the months.
And that's why the members would like to have a pay box out there so that people could pay. The honest ones could pay. The members are already paid, so they're golfing. They'd like to be able to use the course, whether or not there's someone in the clubhouse.
Doesn't that go against our insurance though? We don't have an employee on site.
No, not necessarily. We run the campground the same way.
Yeah, but you don't have flying balls.
Probably waivers they sign or something at the campground.
There would be no cart rentals.
Right. It would be walk-on only,
Mm-hmm.
But the members would be using their cards.
Mm-hmm.
depending on the season and the time, yeah. Not running a pay box.
I wonder how a no employee run, except for maintenance, would work.
Be a lot of people golfing for free.
Exactly.
Do it in the month of May and find out.
Well, if Jim says not to, I mean,
He's just waiting for the course to be
all right.
to the point where he's comfortable having people on it without ripping it apart.
I'd say run it for the month, for May, or whenever Jim says to run it open, short staff, and see how it works.
I mean, that was one of the
That was one of the
suggestions, and it came up more than one person.
Yeah, because there would be no do you do reservations?
Tea times, yeah.
Yeah, so there would be no reservation times. It'd either be a hit or miss.
Come as you are.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
The really easy way to figure it out would be to put up a camera down there, right on the first tee. And see how many people are teeing
But
off.
smile, you know,
See how many people are teeing off versus
Yeah.
how much money you got at the end of every day or every week or whatever.
Yeah, put up a sign that says "Smile, you're on camera," so they know they have to be honest.
see, and, you know, I heard you. You said you don't necessarily want to close everything. No, that's not my goal either. But I'm really tired of hearing the same things and we're doing
No,
nothing
no.
different.
I mean, other cities, well, again, larger cities, but I mean, they make lots of money off driving ranges and putting ranges.
There's a city in southwest Minnesota that has a golf course. Well, I shouldn't say it's a city that bought a, I guess you would consider it a vending machine to get your driving range balls.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can either pay with a credit card or pay on an app, and then you put the bucket underneath there, it dispenses all your balls, and you can go and use your driving range. I'm like, that is a really good COVID idea.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have a driving range either.
No, but
I could make you one.
that's what I'm saying.
Can we use that footage on north of 3 for a driving range?
North of where? No.
No.
Not cost effective. All the trees you'd have to take out of there. No way.
Where would you put it?
You take one of the holes.
Maybe what, 400 yards? Maximum?
Yeah, you wouldn't need it any longer than that.
Mhm.
If somebody can rip a ball 400 yards, boy, they should be on the tour.
Yeah.
Speed masters.
Yep.
I don't know. I would definitely ask the board to start coming up with ideas, because this was the same thing last year and we didn't hear nothing from them. I mean, we heard they were gonna, oh shoot, what'd they say?
We had a lot of ideas and COVID squashed them all.
Yeah. there's
We
that.
had a chili cook-off, chili fundraiser we were gonna do. We are gonna have
I think all that stuff needs to get thrown back on those,
Mhm.
back on the burners, because
Yeah.
COVID's, it's not gonna be the same this summer.
Nope, we're already at the high numbers and Walt saying shut nothing down.
My 2 cents is if you're gonna do a self-serve, you're gonna have no accountability for your course. So you need to either decide, are you going to raise prices of your course and staff it? Or is your course gonna go to heck and you're gonna maybe see the end of the course? Because you're not, no offense, I like our course, but you play it once or twice and cool. It doesn't compete with like Castle or something.
No,
So if you wanna be at the kind of price that these other courses are at, it's gonna have to be staffed and it's gonna have to be nice.
mhm,
And of course is nice, but I don't think you'll have accountability if you self-serve it.
no, and that's what Nick was saying.
As far as damaging your greens and coming off, that's just my 2 cents anyways.
Yeah, I mean, Jim would still have to be the groundskeeper.
So he still needs to have the part, that's what you're selling is grass.
You're really only getting away or getting away from the clubhouse, that one position.
Is it just the one position?
2 people, I guess, right? 2 shifts a day,
To
he
keep
said?
the place open.
I thought they had like 9 employees when.
Yeah, but a lot of them are part-time, so they don't all work. So you get a rotation, that goes on for like a 2-week cycle, and then it's summer, so you always get people that want vacation in the summer, so you need enough to fluctuate. If that were the case, we wouldn't need many people in the bar either.
Okay, much as I don't even want to throw this out, do you think the drug test is what's deterring most of the people from applying?
Not at all.
Okay.
No, I don't. However, anything that's a whole other conversation. It could change things, but no, honestly, Jason, I don't think that's ever a deterrent.
Is there, I know it's been an issue the last few years and it's gone back and forth on this, whether you need to be 16 or 18 to work for the city anymore.
Yep.
Is it at the 18 mark again?
It's been 18 for years.
Well, it went down to 16 a few years ago because we were able to hire 16-year-olds again.
The machines that we use out there require 18 or older. And because we sell beer, even though it's 3.2, they have to be 18.
Yeah.
If we took liquor out of the clubhouse completely,
No. Nope,
then it wouldn't matter.
Are you-
And that
are you
was just
selling
my
it?
question.
Yeah, we
Are you
do.
selling the beer?
Yeah, we do, even though it's 3.2.
Well, and it's like $5 a can. I'm serious. I'm just throwing it out there. How many people are really buying $5 can of beer or whatever it is? It's super expensive.
That's a good question.
But they're pounders, so.
But I'm still saying.
I'm
You're
not gonna
golfing.
argue with you. Yeah,
That
You're
should be on,
golfing.
that should be on an income statement, right?
the beer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So,
is.
so we can look at that, see how much that brings in.
We sell beer.
What if, I know this is a really horrible idea, but what if we jack up our tea times and make it a BYOB?
BYOB, and you can sit outside and get extra profit.
Now you're really testing the
I know.
liquor, the liability portion out there.
I know.
Because, okay, and because the golf course still needs dram,
Mhm.
okay? So, and the dram states that anybody that's drinking on premise, including the course, has to remain on the course too, and you're not supposed to bring your own in.
Yeah.
So our dram would get null and void, although like you're saying is we would not have our own liquor. I just think the liability would be too high.
Even if they purchase it at the pond to bring it to the golf?
Much
It'd
house.
be like endorsing.
I don't know, I guess I can't
Well,
answer that
can
without
we have
talking with insurance people, I don't know.
Can we bring the pond out there to cater it?
Yeah, that's a
Daily?
good question. Yeah, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you could.
You could actually use that catering license for a change. I didn't even think of that, have a mobile
They
liquor.
can't have any weddings. You
Van.
couldn't have weddings for about a year now, so that's why you haven't used any catering.
True.
It only got used twice last year because of that.
Why don't you buy a beverage cart,
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning towards.
Then you need to staff it.
staff it with somebody out of the pond if they're catering.
It can be any of the pond employees.
Hmm?
They said it can be any of the pond employees. Preferably the cheaper ones.
You'd be surprised how many people don't drink though too.
Well, not really, I'm one of them.
Yeah, but if you can get a Crown and Coke out at the golf course,
Or water or a soda,
yeah,
a little bag of chips.
yeah.
whatever.
You don't make a ton of, if you look at that income statement,
So
the
brings me a
beverages and the
burger.
food and the drink are not what make the money on that course. It's the green fees.
That's just an amenity.
I know, we're trying to think of above and beyond the
Yep.
gym fees.
My 2 cents are, it's been a long time, several couple of years since I've been there, but I went there when we were as a group of family camping. And the beer was so expensive when we were across the street at the campground that we all bought one beer. And if it would have been enough to still make money, people would have bought more than one beer.
Mm-hmm.
But the prices were so high, it's like, I can't buy it. I can't have beer for $4 or
Right.
$5 or something.
Yeah.
Where if it was,
Yeah,
you're still
that's,
making $1 or $2 a beer, you'd have sold a lot more.
right, that's why we're saying with the pond catering, I'm
Right.
pretty sure it'd be the same price as the pond, right? Or we jack up the prices. for the catering. I mean, we can set whatever we want, keep the same prices, yeah.
I'm even seeing with the 3-2 beer how it is,
Mm.
maybe look, I think you could sell twice as much if it was a little more reasonable. You know, I think people are going there and I can't justify a $5 can
For 3-2 anyway.
for 3-2.
Mhm.
Where if you're still making $2 a beer and it's $3, or I don't even know the prices it is, but I just remember like,
None of these companies even make
They were down to what, 3 vendors this year? But yeah, definitely ask Christina, or sorry, Christina, definitely ask Shonda if that's an option that she's willing to
That
go.
the catering thing, Ken?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it can. We've had this conversation.
Okay. well
It's
then-
just, is it gonna happen and can we focus on that this year? That I'm gonna go on a limb and say this year is not the year for us to move the catering license out there. Shonda's already trying to staff her own business and keep that business going, and we have a huge project going on. She doesn't need any more on her plate. Because now we're gonna shift the responsibility by doing that from the golf course to the liquor store to find all that staffed. When she's trying to get inside her four-wall staff now. And that's very important.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I don't
No.
think this is the year that you jump over that hoop at all. It's just not gonna happen in the short term.
I know, I'm
It's
just,
a great idea for a specific event.
yeah,
So I think for right
like one
now,
of them,
the pay box should go up for May, see what happens.
pay box and camera. Trail cam at least.
Well, you want to steal that?
There's chains. Mesh wire, thick gauge mesh wire.
could Pam be an employee of both the pond and the golf course and cater for the pond? I mean, if they're a city employee, couldn't they cater, I mean, couldn't our existing golf course employees do it? They're a city employee, if they're, you just label them a pond employee and a golf course employee?
That'd come out of Shonda's funding though, but can't she just charge the golf course that? Their employee wage?
Well, our hope would be that to be making a lot of money off of that.
Well, if we're doing it on events.
Yeah.
I was just meaning if it's a city, they're a city employee
Right,
and the pond has to cater, would you have to take employees away from the pond or bother Shonda? It's just under the pond's catering license, but our golf course staff
Who's actually doing
is
it?
actually doing it.
It's under her catering license and her insurance.
Right, no, I understand that, but I
Pond's
mean,
license.
you wouldn't have to take Shonda to staff it is what I meant.
No, it wouldn't have to be Shonda, but all of the revenue that would come out of that catering would go to the liquor store, not to the golf course.
No, that's so
Okay.
fine, but I'm just,
But the liquor store pays money to the golf
that's
course
what I mean,
anyways.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a little,
exactly.
yeah.
So you could just dump a bigger amount back.
exactly. Like, yeah, she could take, I don't know, a third of it from the profits take it towards, keep it to the pond and kick everything else back to the golf course.
Definitely need to see what the golf board thinks of this too, or if they have any ideas.
Yeah, just tell
Got your
them
notes written down?
we're racking our brains for anything other than shutting the doors.
And that's literally, you're coming that close. Anyway, we'll have fun tomorrow.
Always do.
I'll bring my gloves. Jace, I had a request. If we could get, there's complaints about people speeding past the daycare.
What daycare?
That's, well, I call it the daycare,
Bike cap
yeah, down by Anderson's.
for 30 mile
They're
an hour.
coming out onto Summit. They're zipping right through the, right down Industrial Drive. People are-
Oh, they're Anderson staff?
You're talking, okay.
And I know it's not a real bunch of kids sitting right there, but they, you know, if one of them does get away, I don't know.
I think a presence would.
Also, a request, they thought maybe putting in those speed bumps.
Oh, yuck.
Where?
Speed bumps, as in a legitimate 3-inch tall speed bump in the middle of the road.
Black and yellow
bet.
speed bump.
He's talking in the entrance to where the new building might go. Not on, you're not talking on Lake Road, you're talking in between the daycare and Anderson building proper.
Right, what is that, Industrial Drive?
Boulevard or drive?
Where we stopped Anderson, or where
Oh,
the city
I
stopped
got-
Anderson.
Oh,
people
I
from
thought you
parking.
meant the
So
old
did I.
Little Ducks on Summit. I was like, putting a
No.
speed bump on the county road.
Bycap, not Little Ducks.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you for the clarification.
On
not,
Industrial Boulevard.
not Main
Yes.
Street, but industrial.
Anderson's probably won't like it.
How about we just get them to comply?
Well, if you were going to do something like that, they do have hard plastic ones
That's kind of what
Nailed
they
down.
were asking.
that might be a possibility. I would never go for the other style, especially with plowing down there.
Mhm.
It'd be a nightmare, but hard plastic removable ones, maybe.
We use those at the school and people drive over them fast and they just start coming up and we've had a couple tires popped. And
Okay, that was my next question, because they take all the deliveries back there.
Yep,
The
Ooh.
weight on those
yep.
big rigs is
It's
probably
just
gonna
gonna
crush them.
crack them.
Uh,
We just need them to comply with the speed.
The odds
Get
of
out.
going in a less than a 2-block range of over 30 miles an hour is pretty slim.
I know,
It's
so
just
how
So
are
somebody's-
they?
that's what I'm saying. It
How is that
appears that they're
possible?
going really fast.
when they're
I'm not
burning
saying they're not
tires.
driving maybe too fast, but I'm saying I can sit there and run radar and I'm not gonna I
Gotcha.
might get one somebody at 31 or 33, but I mean, come on. It a
Understand.
speed
I
bump,
think
if
maybe-
it's a concern, a safety concern, I'm more on the speed bump side because
Oh, okay,
the speeding citation side of things is probably not
can
gonna
I
be.
interject something, please? Can we just talk to the administration at Anderson Fabrics and ask them to ask their staff that are parked back there to watch the speed because there's kids across the street? Is that so hard?
Kind of the same thing with the intersection over here. I mean, people are still speeding over there. and
I
it's
say
same
we get a
concept.
couple cardboard cutouts of Chase with a gun pointed at him, a radar gun.
Well, that or perhaps just your presence once or twice.
Just,
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest, that Lake Road sees me more than probably anywhere in this town. So I can't patrol that more than we are between us and the county. We're down there all the time. I park at the water plant and do reports. I mean, not the wastewater, right there
Yeah.
in view. That gets a ton of patrol. So,
You got what, 1 or 2 county that live on that road?
yeah. I have made the old CFO, I made a call to in the past and I'm happy to do stuff like that. That's behind the scenes stuff.
Could you just refresh my memory? What's the speed limit in our alleys?
It should be 15, I believe.
So definitely not 30 miles an hour?
No,
Okay. I've caught a few cars behind Sanford going all the way down
Oh, this
to
is the
Sheldon.
same conversation we just had last spring.
I don't know what
Oh,
the deal is.
right. Why?
Yeah. This is the first time I've ever seen it. So, I mean,
It's
I
the-
walked out the door and it's just, I'm like, whoa.
It's the apartment building.
Yep, that's exactly where they turned
And
down.
for some reason, they think it's better to turn in the alley than to go 75 more feet up to First Street.
Right.
I don't get it. No idea why. And going into the alley from, never bring it for it now.
I can't think of it either.
The road that Pine View Manor is on, there you go, thank you. That approach into that alley is not a
It's
nice one.
nasty.
It's not a nice one with the elevation over there. That's a muffler grabber. So why they do it, I don't know. But they won't stop.
That's where Sheldon lives, right?
Yeah, right on that corner.
Yeah, I mean, he's witnessed it constantly.
Yep.
finally, since we did the job description thing, remember I requested that we get those, everybody's job descriptions to all the council?
We're not done yet.
I didn't get one either.
So the only one that's been finished is Jace's and your guys, and that's it. So you wanna see those two, or you wanna see everybody else's besides the ones that are in limbo, which are the liquor stores?
I'd say, yeah, but you wanna see everybody's.
I have to send them when you have them, I guess.
But it's a lot of files.
I don't think, but we plan on being here for a couple of years. It'd be nice to know what people are supposed to be doing.
Okay,
Who updates us on who won, or who, got the votes?
I will do the canvassing meeting. There was
Okay.
6 votes and they were all for the same person.
Yeah, I read that in the paper. I was just curious if we ever got an update.
No, we'll have the canvassing meeting following the 26th public hearing,
Okay.
and then that'll be official. And so that would be me.
Okay.
To adjourn?
My motion.
Second.
Aye.
Denise, you really should go home.
I was like, I got photos